Hey guys, welcome to another episode of All Bass Creations Effects Tutorials, Demos, and Review. Today we'll be doing another preamp shootout between the Gentler Magellan analog preamp and the Aguilar AG Preamp, which is another analog preamp, and the Ampeg SGT-DI, which is also an analog preamp, but with the addition of an IR and an IR loader. You can put your own custom IRs on there as well. So let's get started here with just my bass. So that's my bass with nothing on it. So we'll start with the Magellan preamp. Just to give you a heads up, these are all set to my personal favorite settings. Um, which is pretty much they're all pretty much set up relatively similar. Um, so pretty much it's a boost on the bass, but I'm cutting around 220, 250, just a little bit. And on the Aguilar one, that low mids is it's pretty. I just left it flat for the most part, but if you can tell, the other ones are boosted. The other frequency, the bass is boosted, the highs are boosted, the high mids are slightly boosted, just a little bit. SGT, same thing. Um, it's just how I like my amps. It's just how it gets me my sound. The rest I do with my bass because you know it allows me flexibility. But on the Magellan one, you also have that contour button. So you can when it's blue, it's the slap and pop setting. Curve EQ, smiley face EQ. If you want a frowny face contour, you just switch over to the yellow side of it, or the one closest, the B side, and I have that set up a certain way as well. So they're all really flexible, and it just depends on the sounds you want. And the great thing is, these days you can have three amp heads for the. That's like having three amp heads on one pedal board right there. This is not even the biggest of pedal boards, but this is my general gigging pedal board right here. So these make my life a ton easier. So let's start with the Magellan preamp. So that's the um, pretty much my Magellan settings there. And compared to the other ones, if you want to use it as a mute switch, you can use it as a mute switch. It does not have an off button, so I have to have it on its own effects loop. But for the tone, it's gone. I'm rolling with it. Um, we got the AG preamp here, which is Aguilar's more their cleaner preamp. So here we go. So as you can hear, that it's got a real nice, warm tone, organic tone to it. You know, you also have it also has its own filters or contour type thing. So it has a bright switch and a deep switch, and you can have them both on at the same time. So if you need a lot more, if you want a real deep tone, and say that setting wasn't deep enough, I could just kick on those. So yeah, it definitely. Oh, I'm gonna filter turn on here. Let me do something, guys, for you guys. Bring up this volume. Yeah, that's too much. Matter of fact, give me 1 second, guys. There we go. Yeah, there we go. Get that you got some good volume there. But yeah, that's a very nice smooth tone to it. See, do that again. Real nice tone there. You know, let's see. So when you're using, say you know, theoretically you have the Magellan pre or whatever the case, or you're thinking about it. One of the bonuses is you can those contours allow you to have one like slap and pop channel and then one um, finger style channel without even changing your actual EQ settings. You know, you can set your EQ settings the way you set them. Then use those contours, the curves, basically, to create the rest of your sound a little more detailed. Say you need a little more for slap and pop, you know, you can do that, or you can turn one off and just use one of them, and then use the other one when you don't want the curve on at all. So you know, those are options. It gives you a ton of options there. You know, and for the Aguilar, you know, you also have the deep and the bright switch, which by themselves give you different characteristics to the sound as well. So if you just want a more beefier sound, you just put on just the deep. If you want more of a brighter sound, you just put on just the bright, and it'll definitely help. So now we got the Ampeg SGT, which is one of my favorites as well. It's the same, pretty much the same preamp they make in the Venture heads. So it's pretty much a Venture head in pedal form, you know, without the power amp section, pretty much, but with IRs, which is awesome. So I have I'm gonna do the SGT two different ways. I'm gonna do just the preamp side, and then I'll show you guys the IR side. I do particularly, I don't particularly like the ones they came stock with on there, but you know I am going to eventually replace and put some of my own on there. But I pretty much use my B6 for my IRs and stuff like that. Just because it's has more controls. I can add different things and make just really sculpt the sound from there. Um, but yeah, let's go with the SGT real quick. And the good thing about that is it's like having three different amp heads. It's like having three different sounds in one preamp pedal. You know, because you got the SGT circuit, and then you have which has a SVT side and a B15 side. So, and on this one, you also get some filters too. You can cut the bass, you can have it flat, or you can boost the bass, and you can also boost the highs or have it flat. And I don't have the compressor on. This also has a compressor. So, if you're looking for something that's kind of like an all-in-one solution, the SGT is not a bad option for just you want one pedal that has an analog preamp and an IR loader in it. And you're gonna get that Ampeg sound with it for sure. And only thing I don't like about the IRs is the cabinets that have a tweeter, they didn't mic the tweeter, so it just everything just sounds very old school, no muffled bass type sound, with that. So I would suggest too, if you're gonna run the SGT, I would suggest using running it both ways. Run it the preamp out and run that to the system, or run that to the amp of your choice and run a DI from there out. You know what I'm saying? and then run the XLR as well. But that'll have the IR sound on it, so you can put your own custom IR. It's got 3 spaces for your own custom ones, and then it has the factory ones as well. So without further ado. So let's take a look at the SGT circuit here. Let's start with the B15 side. And I personally, the way I use the SGT circuit, I just use it for the saturation of it. So I turn the grit all the way down, and I use the level to compensate for that. But I also don't push into the preamp too much with the volume of my bass, because I don't want it to be too overdriven. But if I want to give it overdriven, it's very easy. Very easy to overdrive it with this. You just turn that grit up. So that's definitely one of the added. In terms of features, the I have to say the SGT has the most features out of all of them. It is $100 more than the other two, but it also has more, like the SGT circuit, overdrive circuit, which is two different types of overdrive, or saturation, whatever you want to call it, tube emulation, you know. And then you also got the IR side, which we're about to get to in a second. After that goes to the SVT side of the circuit. Here we go. So as you can hear, it definitely has its own characteristics to it, with those being brought into the. Plus, you still got the ultra low, pretty much which bass, boosts the bass and cuts a little bit of the mids, and you still got the ultra highs, which gives you a little bit of and a boost in the high and treble. So, I mean, that plus the IRs, that's I know I was critical of the price point of the Ampeg, but the longer I have it, the more I'm like, you know, for it to be an analog preamp, it still got all these digital goodies in there that help you on a gig. You really can just get an SGT, and you pretty much got amp models. You got three different amp models in there. You can look at it like that. You got one analog and then two digital ones. You know, I don't know if the SGT circuit is that can't be. I don't think that's analog. Like the preamp is analog, but I don't when using the preamp by itself, it's definitely analog. But I don't know if the SGT circuit is analog. I know the IRs are digital, so you know, it definitely. We're gonna go to the IRs now. So let's see, what's a nice little classic setup? Would be the. Let's see. Let's do a 115 and a B50. So let's do like a B15 emulation, pretty much, all the way around with the cabinet included. Here's the 115 with the SVT circuit. So here's just the preamp with the 115. All right, so now I'm just gonna kind of flip through a few different settings with it. If I was gonna use the hours, I would use the 410. It does have an 810 on there. It also has a 212, a 112, and a 210. I think the 212 or the 210, one of those is has the. I don't think any of those has the tweeter mic, but we'll see. Here's the 410s with the preamp. Another little nice feature is it has these pop out buttons on the sides. One this side, the right side of the pedal is for the pop out button is for the auxiliary. It even got all the auxiliary inputs and stuff on there too, man. It's just this little pedal here is kind of like a little Swiss Army knife. I ain't even gonna lie. This joint kind of killing, and it even got a through out on it too. Compared to the Magellan has a few options in the back as well. They all have XLR. They're all the DI boxes, so that's not a thing to worry about with any of them. And they're all a headphone amp. You all can use them you can use all of them like a headphone amp. So as well as a DI box, as well as a preamp for your actual. Like I use it with um, that. I got a Fender Bassman 15 down there, 115 down there. I use that and use these different settings, these different heads. The preamps on the pedal board. I run them through that Harkey power amp in, and I got three different heads there. If I wanted to, I can have four on the gig. Including the head itself. The Harkey TX 600. So yeah, let's keep going with these R's. Here's the 410. So you could, if you got both of them running to the system, you can mix them. So I would go with mostly the DI sound, and then just a little bit of the. Here you go. And the cool thing about the Ampeg one is even if you're running through the XLR, and you still got the cabinet, because you can turn the cabinet off on the XLR as well, which gives you a ton of flexibility. But you can also load your own custom one. Say you wanted to have an Aguilar IR in there and a Gensler one you made. Say you got the array cabinet, you made a IR of that somehow. Um, you could literally load them into the SGT and turn off the preamp, and then coming out of XLR still be in the IR for the jank, which is crazy. You know what I'm saying? Like that's a lot of flexibility to your board. I know it's a big pedal. I know it, but it's analog and it's got all the extra stuff in there. It's even got its own compressor. You know, let's hear a little bit of that in there too. Let's see if we can. So as you can hear, it definitely allows you to have that speaker, that cabinet sound with you. You know, you know that is an added bonus. The IR loaders are running a little bit of money these days. You know what I'm saying? You can get you can spend about $100 on just an IR loader, but I wouldn't recommend it. Um, you know, you might as well get it with some other features in the unit. Something like that you want in something like if you looking into like Zoom pedals, they have allow you to have they have IRs on them. You know, um, They're multi-effects ones, and the SGT is very useful. If you don't want to have to fiddle with IRs on your own, like I like to mess around with stuff like I like Amplitude 5, where I can move the mics and stuff. I'm a little, I get, I'm going to play around with the position because it makes a difference. And it gives you way more flexibility than just turning it on. But if you want to just be able to turn on a simple IR, one IR, not, a bunch of extra stuff, one IR, just turn it on and you can set it. And when you turn these knobs, and you push it in and you flip through other settings on here, it saves the volume of each IR separately. Plus, you can go and download the Ampeg IR loader, and that'll allow you to edit the IRs a little bit. Not a lot at all, but it allows you to edit them, and it allows you to replace them. 3 of them. So here's a SVT with an 810. Yeah. And I actually like the I like the 810 one. If I was gonna use the IRs that are built in the 810, I would use the 410 for my regular sound, and I would use the 810 if I needed the rock sound like type thing. Jazz stuff, I'd use the 115 with the B15. You pretty much can go easily Motown and you know get you close to the upright sound, playing closer up here, and then just um, B15 with the 115, and that'll get you really close there. Roll off the highs on your bass as well. So a little tip there for that. So that's with just the preamp, and here's a few more options. it's definitely an all-in-one solution for, say, if you got a church or something like that, or y'all using IR, I mean in ears rather. You could just get a Ampeg SGT, and that's just gonna really solve most of your problems. So, bam, that's the SGT. But we're gonna switch it to an even playing field with all of them. Seeing how I don't really, I like the IRs on the Zoom B6 a lot more. You might say you already got a multi effects pedal with IRs on it, the HX Stomp, all that stuff should have IRs. Um, let's see what. So I'm gonna switch on this Aguilar 410 on the Zoom B6, and I'm gonna switch on a limiter and this pre 73 on there, just as a mic preamp type sound. And here's what that sounds like without any of the pedals running, any of the preamps rather. Matter of fact, I'm also going to switch on the 160 compressor on the B3, Zoom B3, and that's going to be a threshold of -6, ratio 2.1, 0 for the gain, and it's set to hard knee. And all of that with the limiter on the B6 input, the limit, it's the limit 76. Input is 14, ratio is 4.1, release is 33, output is 56. I'm not EQing at all with that pre 1073 on the B6. I'm just using it for saturation. And I got an Aguilar 410 with a tweeter, low on here, IR, and on the Zoom B6, and the low is set to 61, highs are set to 63, balance is -11, volume is -3.1, and these same IRs and stuff are available on the Zoom. A lot of these are on the MS60B Plus, for real, and which just came out, as well as the B24. Zoom B24 also has these same IRs and stuff. So, preamp and that limiter as well. So, all right. So, Magellan Pre. And real quick, this Magellan Pre, one thing I do love about it is simplistic, but it sounds really good, and those EQ curves are amazing. They're very musical, and they sit so well in a mix. Like, um, they support a band so well. It sounds so good with a band. I'm gonna have to do some recordings and I'm gonna have to bring this H5 here to the gigs with us so I can catch some of that stuff. But that Magellan, all these sound great, like amazing, like that. I keep saying that, I have them on my pedal board for a reason. All three of them sound amazing. It's like having three different amps with me, and it's just crazy. So, um, that what is that? A high pass filter on the Magellan is killing. That joint is killing. It definitely helps out your speakers a lot. Um, like it cuts out some of these a little bit of subharmonic frequencies that you really don't need when you're just playing bass. So I use that for like I said, that's my go-to bass head sound right at the moment on most gigs. Like, except if I'm doing a jazz gig, I'm on the Aguilar synth, and like rock stuff, definitely going with the Ampeg. I still have my Eden down here on the floor. It's actually down here on the floor with all my electroharmonics pedals. That a lot of these stay home because one, they're expensive. I don't always want to be carrying a few grand worth of pedals just for a basic gig. Um, I'm already got enough money up here. It's already and that's the stuff's not cheap. Um, but it's all down on the floor, and just trust me, it's there. But I didn't include the Eden on this because the Eden isn't available anymore. If you want to hear the Eden, you can go. I got a video with the Ampeg, the Aguilar, and the Eden, comparing them, and I also have my very first YouTube video was the Eden preamp review. So you can check that out. That's still up here from 10 years ago, or however long, 50 years ago now. But yeah, here's the Magellan with the Aguilar 410 cabinet. And I always recommend the best combination right now is going of any amps and stuff or this type of sound is going to be an analog preamp with a digital IR going to the system. That way, if you got to use a digital preamp, you know what I'm saying, those are cool, but they still haven't, obviously aren't touching, like they're close, but the analog ones are still there. And well, we'll talk about some other stuff, but here we go. So obviously that's an amazing sound. Let's hear it with the B curve on, which is the frowny face. So this is more for finger style. Great tone there. Aguilar AG Preamp. told you, if you just cut these low mids to around 11 o'clock, and you have the high mids around probably 1 o'clock, and you can set the highs and the lows. What's these? The treble and the bass, basically, you set those at 3 o'clock, and you got a nice slap sound there too. So you got a very nice sound there. I love it. But I like to keep this one, with the treble around 1 o'clock, keeping the low mids flat, and high mids around 1 o'clock, bass still around 3. That's usually my typical sound, the sound I've been showing you guys before. Um, it's a very clean and neutral sound. So if you're looking for the cleanest, like most neutral sounding one, is going to be the AG one, most transparent one. But the Magellan one has such a transparency to it but it glows. It's like it adds a glowing factor. It's like it feels wider than the other two. Like, so even when you're hearing it coming through an amp, um, they sound wider. It definitely sounds wider. Like, just like it sounds massive. Like, I don't know why it sounds so massive, but it does. Let me see. Play a little bit in the room here. So that's the Ampeg AG Preamp. The Magellan. the preamp. Magellan. Aguilar. SGT preamp. That has on. That's what I was like. Why is it so bright? So as you can see, they make a ton of a difference. They make a ton of a difference. Just depending on how you got them set, what you looking at, you know. Yeah, and that's just running through that 115 with a tweeter, the Bassman Neo. Excuse me. So, you know, and just coming through the Zoom, you know, of course it's not a properly mic'd amp. It's just what it sounds like. You know, it's closer to what it sounds like when you're sitting in the room closer, I guess. It's not, you know, typically, you know, I hope that, you know, that you got to see how they make an amp feel. Like all these actually are big sounding preamps. All of them sound big. The Magellan does sound like add the most glow and warmth and bigger sound to it. But well, I'm not going to say warmth. The Aguilar adds a lot of firmness and warmth to your sound. That's about the only thing it really adds. It's not adding, it's really transparent though. And the SGT is just, it's an Ampeg. It's an Ampeg in a box for real. It really is an entire Ampeg rig and a pedal, which is amazing. You know, just, I don't mind these things being this size, the Magellan and the SGT, because they sound so good. If they ain't sound like that, I'd be like, all right, I'm a little skeptical, you know. But if you need something really small for your pedal board, I'd say the AG. You know what I'm saying? Like the AG definitely can do you just fine, and it's gonna sound good. It's a nice, creamy sound to it as well, and you can also get a nice slap and pop sound with it. You don't get the overdrive circuit, and you don't get the IRs. It does not have that, and neither does the Magellan. Don't have, but the Magellan does have an additional, you know, the high pass filter. You know, and that high pass filter makes a difference when you're on the. So if you're in the room, like, let's see. That's with it all the way up, right? I still got plenty of bottom. Right? This with it off. Right at 40. I like to keep mine around 30, 32. And it just cuts them slightly. It doesn't completely cut them out altogether. It just brings them down some. So it's not like a hard high pass filter. You know. And if you want to shape it differently, you got tons of flexibility with the mids there as well. It's got the sweepable mids like the Ampeg and the Magellan have sweepable mids, so that's something they have in common. So the most feature packed one is going to be the Ampeg one. You get the preamp, you get pretty much three different preamps. If you can look at it like that, you can look at the SGT circuit like overdrive circuit, or like two other additional preamps if you how depends on how you got it set up. Um, so you got that. You got the ultra highs, ultra low, all the usual Ampeg EQ stuff, right? Um, which just gives you a nice Ampeg sound in general. Just the preamp, and then you got an auxiliary player, for your headphones. You got all these auxiliary. You got stereo and a mono in, which is so you could literally plug in a keyboard or something in there too if you wanted to. If you wanted to say run key bass or something and you didn't have an extra channel on your bass rig, you can run it into auxiliary on this joint, and you got a knob volume for it too as well. And you got in, through, preamp out, headphone out, line out. You can use the headphone out as a balance out, line out as well. So the joint's got features. I love all of them. All of them sound good. The AG one, if you want an Aguilar sound, the AG one is definitely gonna give you that nice Aguilar sound without spending a bunch of bread on a head. I prefer to buy this pedal versus buying the actual AG head. Um, you know, Ain't nothing wrong with the AG head now. Like, what I'm saying? But I prefer to have it on the pedal board where I can have three different amp sounds and along with everything else I got on here. So that's pretty much the comparison between the Gentler Magellan Preamp, Aguilar AG Preamp, and the Ampeg SGT-DI. And those are the differences. For $100 more, you're going to get all those little extra features and the Ampeg sound. For the 300, you can have a nice Aguilar sound or a nice Gensler sound. I love the Gensler sound personally as well. So let me know which one is your favorite down in the comment. Let me know. Don't forget to hit them super thanks and super chats. I really appreciate y'all. And it also helps me keep my reviews honest. These people don't send me these pedals. I buy them personally and I review them for y'all. And I give y'all the truth on them. So, subscribe, like, and share. I definitely appreciate y'all. Peace. It's been another episode of All Bass. Oh, find me at the Bass Negus. Technically, it's pronounced Negus, but on all platforms, Negus, or you can find my music at allbasscreations.bandcamp, or on all streaming platforms. You can find my stuff, Amazon Music, all that good stuff. So make sure y'all support me, and Cash App, hit me with the Cash App. You know what I'm saying? I appreciate all that. I need all the love right now, and that would help me. You know what I'm saying? You got to keep the lights on. I'm about to bring y'all a ton of material or content. Like, I'm about to give y'all a ton of content. Like, it's about to be ridiculous. So, stay tuned, and I got you guys. All right. Peace.